Right, now let's add an on-screen keyboard. So I'm going to unlock the canvas for editing again, and I'm going to right click on the panel over here, and I'm going to select Add New Floating Tile. So the reason I right clicked on the panel instead of right clicking over here in the canvas is I wanted this floating tile to be a child of the panel. So can you see that the floating tile is contained within the panel? So that means if I move the panel, the floating tile will move with it and its position will stay relative to the panel. So I'm going to give our keyboard floating tile a width of 800, so it's the full width of the interface, and I'm going to give it a height of 70. Then I'm going to drag the slider for the Y position to move the floating tile all the way to the bottom of the interface. There are lots of different types of floating tiles, and we use the content type property to choose what type of floating tile we want this to be. So you can see there's lots in here: preset browsers, about pages, settings panels, MIDI panels. We have all kinds of things. For this one, we're going to go with the keyboard. Now that we've chosen the content type, we get some additional settings here in this data property. And to adjust these, we just have to edit the values. So let's pull this across to give ourselves a bit more room. And we can go through here and just see which ones we want to change. So I'm going to change the key width to 16. And that's going to change the width of the keys. To apply the changes, we just come right down here and hit apply, or you can press F5 on your keyboard. So there we go, the keys are now slightly wider. This next setting, display octave number, that's currently set to false. I'm going to change that to true, and I'll hit F5, and we can see we now have octave numbers on our keyboard. I'm going to change the low key property to 24, so when I hit F5, the lowest key should be C0. There we go. And I'm going to leave the rest of the properties as they are. We need to give our floating tile a name, and like before, we can press F2 to rename it, or we can go up here and change the ID, and that will do the same thing. So the 3-letter prefix I use for floating tiles is FLT. And then I'm going to call it FLT keyboard. And hit enter. So now if I click on the panel and move it around, you can see the keyboard goes with it, but its position is fixed within the panel. And to put the panel back in position, I could just enter 0 in the X, or we can use this undo button here to undo the last action. There's also a redo button as well.